Last year, when it came to choosing between the Sony WH-1000XM2 and the Sony H.ear On 2, it all basically boiled down to fit and comfort. Because even though the 1000XM2 had some really great performing tech, their ear cups were pretty cramped, whereas the ear cups on the H.ear On 2s were much more spacious, and more importantly, the gap in performance between these two headphones was pretty narrow. Obviously, the 1000XM2s had the superior active noise cancellation, but everything else like sound quality, battery life, and features were pretty much the same. But now, the gap in performance between the Sony H.ear On 2s and the new Sony WH-1000XM3 is significantly wider. And more importantly, the 1000XM3s are now more comfortable than the H.ear On 2s. So here's how the new Sony 1000XM3s compares up against the H.ear On 2s, and why I just wouldn't pick up the H.ear On 2s at all right now. The Sony 1000XM3s are Sony's most expensive ANC headphones that are targeted towards professionals and retail for $350, whereas the Sony WH-1000N, aka the H.ear On 2, are targeted towards a younger crowd because of their more standout-ish design, color options, and a slightly lower price tag of $300. But now they're typically on sale for about $220. If you want to pick either of these headphones up, I'll have links in the description below, and if you use the links, it really helps out the channel. I highly suggest you check them out because Sony's headphones routinely go on sale, so you might get lucky. And if you want to learn more about either of these headphones, then please watch their full reviews. And also check out the merch shelf down below. Okay, so first we're going to do a quick little rundown of the major differences between these two headphones before I get into my tin hat conspiracy theory. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the 1000XM3s are now significantly more comfortable than the H.ear On 2s. The ear cups on the 1000XM3s are much more spacious than the previous 1000XM2, but they're not as deep as the H.ear On 2s or the Bose QC35. Since I have medium-sized ears that don't stick out that much, the 1000XM3s fit me perfectly. But for people who have larger ears or ears that stick out a lot, then you might be better off with the H.ear On 2s or Bose QC35s. But the biggest reason I feel the 1000XM3s are more comfortable than the H.ear On 2s is because of weight. The new M3s weigh in at 255 grams, so you essentially forget you have them on because of their low weight and new spacious ear cup design, whereas the H.ear On 2s weigh in at a hefty 290 grams. Since I've been living with the M3s for a few weeks now, I just can't get comfortable with the H.ear On 2s. They're heavy, and I find myself having to routinely readjust them because they constantly shift around. But we also need to talk about design. The H.ear On 2s are perhaps one of the biggest ANC headphones you can buy. Their ear cups stick out a lot and their headband is also very thick. And this also applies to the previous 1000XM2s. Even though these headphones perform very well, their design definitely puts some people off. Whereas the M3s have a brand new design which has a new low profile headband and the ear cups don't stick out as much. The ear cups aren't as low profile as the Bose QC35s, but they're definitely much more manageable. And when it comes to active noise cancellation performance between the 1000XM3 and H.ear On 2s, it's not even close. Since the 1000XM3s has Sony's new QN1 processor and an atmospheric pressure sensor just like the 1000XM2 before it, the M3s are able to block out a little more noise than the 1000XM2s and significantly more noise than the H.ear On 2s. And the 1000XM3s don't just block out more noise than the H.ear On 2s, they also sound better than the H.ear On 2s. Last year, the sound quality between the 1000XM2 and H.ear On 2 was identical to me. But that's not the case anymore. Even though characteristics like soundstage clarity and instrument separation remain pretty much the same between the H.ear On 2, 1000XM2, and 1000XM3, The bass on the 1000XM3 is significantly better than the older two headphones. The bass on the 1000XM3 manages to get deeper, is cleaner, and bottoms out much less than the M2s or H.ear On 2s. Listening to Eminem's new Kamikaze album with the H.ear On 2s was significantly different and less epic than all the other times I've listened to that album with the M3s. Now, even though both of these headphones still have similar tech specs like a 30-hour battery life, they can only be connected to one device at a time, they both have Sony's DSEE and LDAT technologies, and they both have very accurate touchpads on the right ear cups, which means they both have quick attention and ambient sound modes, the gap in performance between the 1000XM3 and H.ear On 2s is significantly wider, because more important things like fit, sound, and active noise cancellation performance is significantly better on the M3 than on the H.ear On 2s. But here's why I just wouldn't pick up the H.ear On 2s at all right now. Like I said in the full review, and again, I do urge you to watch that video if you haven't, I didn't expect to get the Sony 1000XM3 so soon. I honestly thought the 1000XM2s were going to be Sony's flagship ANC headphones for another year because they perform so well. But obviously that's not the case, but I'm very glad the M3s are here. And I personally think we are going to see the new H.ear On 3s and possibly the new XB950N ones at CES 2019. I think Sony released the 1000XM3 by themselves because they didn't want any of their other ANC headphones to be overshadowed by the M3s, like the H.ear On 2s were overshadowed by the 1000XM2s last year. And I think the H.ear On 3s are going to have a very similar design language to the M3s and Wh-700N. The Wh-700N came out in the spring of 2018, and I like to think of this as the beginning of Sony's new generation of ANC headphones. When I first reviewed the Wh-700N, I noticed they had much more spacious ear cups, they were still pretty low profile, they had a lot of bass, and a fully wrapped leather headband. Something that to me at the time seemed odd, because all of Sony's other ANC headphones only had leather on the underside of the headband. But now, if we look at the M3s, they have a lot in common with the Wh-700N. More spacious low-profile ear cups, significantly better bass, and a fully wrapped leather headband. So, I think we can expect to see the new H.ear On 3s in a few months, with much better bass, but more importantly, a new low-profile design. Because like I said earlier, the current H.ear On 2s are just a huge pair of headphones that weigh a lot, have a very wide headband compared to most other headphones, and their ear cups stick out a lot, which can make some people feel self-conscious about them when they wear them out in public. So right now, if you're trying to choose between the Sony 1000XM3 or the H.ear On 2s, and if money isn't a concern, then your only option is to get the Sony 1000XM3. They're better than the H.ear On 2s in every way, except for the price tag. But I know that for some people, dropping $350 for a pair of ANC headphones just isn't an option. So, here are a few other options. You can either wait till CES 2019 and see if Sony does in fact release their new H.ear On 3s and extra bass headphones, or you can look into some of the new $200 ANC headphones dropping this holiday season by Skullcandy and Audio-Technica. Personally, I'm really looking forward to the new Skullcandy venues, but personally, I just want to pick up the H.ear On 2s right now because I think there's a very high likelihood of suffering buyer's remorse in just a few months. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. Support the channel by clicking on the links down below, and I'll catch you next time.